1 second. If you're live lunch broadcast, here we go. If you're on the YouTube, as per what I was gonna say, then make sure you like this video, make sure you share it, and let's get as many people in here as possible. Hoz, thanks for joining us. I want to go to you first. I know, Andy, I wanted to go to you because you were already midway, but I know Hoz's internet's always a bit sporadic. So Hoz, jump in, give us your thoughts.
Not only is it sporadic, it's 1:20 in the evening here. So I just wanted to come and say, Sully, thank you so much for all you've done over the last 109 days. You're an absolute legend. And thanks to everyone else on this panel, apart from Manco. I'm taking the piss. Mate, I'm just taking the piss, mate. What you add in value as well. Press the wrong buttons. And also, I don't think if they have an election, it's going to make any difference as to the policy of Israel. It's just going to get worse. And I agree with you, Sully. It's not going to last. It's just not going to last because Israel can't stop themselves. So that's it. And Simon, mate, are you still on the same game theory as you were on before about Hezbollah being abandoned and being put into the army by force and stuff like that, or have you changed your opinion of that?
By force, I think you added those words. I do believe that eventually Hezbollah is going to be integrated and the need for resistance won't be there because Israel isn't as strong as everyone believes. And I think we're starting to see the process of untangling the myth of the invincible Israel.
But you remember
But yeah,
that you remember saying was the effect of how Iran's just going to abandon them.
yeah. Well, I think they went into a deal and now they've put Lebanon into the deal.
But you remember me
You know,
saying to you that we would never ever abandon Hezbollah, mate.
I do remember you saying that, Oz.
Okay,
And
mate,
it looks
that's
like
all.
it's going that way so far.
Yeah, we're never. That's what the point I was trying to make to you all that time, Simon, was that there is something about the people that have been in this axis together for a very long time, and there's huge blood ties, and it's not just blood ties. It's when Hamas attacked, what's it called, Israel. The Hezbollah were there within 8 hours. When Iran was attacked, Hezbollah was there within 5 hours. It's just like, and when people just come out on your side and they're putting themselves in the way of fire, you would have to be the most disloyal scum of the universe to not be there for them. And that's all I was trying to ever make the point to you, mate. That's all. Nothing else. And it's not about I told you so. It's literally you've got to understand there's a bond between people like warrior nations. And the Yemenis are the same. And they're just we're there for each other. That's all. Nothing else, mate. And I got a lot of time and a lot of respect for you, Simon. So, your analysis and everything else. So when it comes to money and stuff, you're on point. But I think the problem I think with you is you are mathematical to the point of, and you look at things as money and money is the thing, but there's a human element to the side of the people, and that human element is sometimes is missing because your brain functions in a very I can see where the money's going. I follow the money, and the money, and that works for certain groups of people. It works for certain countries, but it doesn't work for people who are more than happy to sacrifice their lives for a cause. And that's when the money there is no money that we will accept. There is no amount of trillions and billions of money that we would accept for the life or the sacrifice of people who have stood up for us. That is the only missing gap that you've got in your amazing brain. That's it.
Well, sure. To clarify, Hoss, though, like throughout the whole Palestinian cause, I was sure, I was here for a humanitarian cause. And that doesn't
And that's
factor
why I
into.
love you and respect you, because you've never ever wavered
But
from that.
sure. But, when I'm analyzing geopolitics, I have to take out who I am as a human and the humanitarian side. And and understand who Iran is negotiating with,
Yeah,
and America and the financial powers that power America are the most transactional, ruthless
yeah, but
country in the world. And you know,
yeah,
I think in the end, if you look down the deal, everything is financial in the end.
but it's not just financial. That's the point I'm trying to make to you. We there is no amount of money that we would accept it. There's no amount of compromise that we'd have accepted. We would never abandon Lebanon. We would never abandon Hezbollah in Lebanon, because at the end of the day, they've never abandoned the cause. And and there is no amount of money that literally you could offer pay $1 trillion per Iranian, and they'd rather just have the Hezbollah people and stay poor. That's that's the bond that exists between people who are fighters, and it literally is. If you speak to Andrew, who's been in the Navy, and people who've been on the front line, when you're a soldier, the only thing that matters is the person standing to your right, the person standing to your left, because you're going to be together in a war, and all you care about is how are we going to get through this together, and that's just done on a national level. How are we going to get through this together? Because that's all we look at each other as. I've got to get this guy through this combat here, and it's done on a minute scale, and it's done on a national scale. And we as Iranians, we won't abandon Lebanon. And I've just posted saying that I love Lebanese people and I love Lebanon, and we will never abandon them, and we never did. And everyone says that oh, you're going to do that, you're going to do, and I'm going, look, mate, if my government did that, I swear to God, I'd get up and go and smash people's heads in with my broken back if they ever abandoned Hezbollah. And I'm not on my own. There are millions of Iranians that feel exactly the same way about someone that stood up for us. That's it. I'm gonna stop being an emotional prick and shut up.
And we love Iran, bro. And we love the Iranian people. W Iran. W total victory by Iran. Just want to thank every single person joining. It's going to be a great conversation. Appreciate everyone. Andy, sorry, I interrupted you halfway through when you were talking. I felt bad because I made that other guy wait. So do you want to finish what you were saying, and then we'll get to the
Yeah, I
stuff,
actually
Andy?
have a new point. So it's fun. You have MAGA saying, well, the US isn't giving Iran 300 billion, so it's still a good deal. Yes, technically our taxpayers are not giving Iran 300 billion, but Iran is still getting a way better deal than they got under Obama, because between the sanctions relief and the reconstruction fund, it's still a way better deal than under Obama. So yes, technically when MAGA is saying American taxpayers are not handing Iran $300 billion, that is a fact. So MAGA is right on that point. But to act like this is some like stricter deal than what happened under Obama is simply not true, because they're getting way more sanctions relief from this. So that's just very interesting that they're saying that. But
They're
yeah,
not getting sanctioned. They're not getting nearly as much sanctions relief. What are you talking about?
they're going to be able to sell oil on the open market if they comply with the nuclear stuff.
They're getting a temporary ability to sell oil on the open market. And they only get to be able to sell oil if they give up all their nuclear stuff, which is exactly what they didn't have to do under Obama. And on top of that, the JCPOA completely took off the sanctions from all of Iran's frozen funds worldwide, which Trump is not doing.
I
Well,
don't.
that's not right, Banco. So there's two different elements to it, right? There's the sanctions on oil and energy has been removed immediately. That's not based on the nuclear at all. That's removed. And then whatever discussions happen
It's
pertaining,
temporary until the nuclear deal, Suleiman. So if
yeah,
the
that's what I mean.
nuclear
But you
deal
made it
doesn't
sound like
happen, then it goes back in.
exactly. But you made it sound like it was the nuclear that the only mean the oil only happens for the nuclear, and I'm saying no. The oil sanction relief is right now.
Well, it's only permanent if it gets the nuclear. They
Yeah,
only get
well,
like 60 days without that.
well, you get the entirety of whatever time this temporary period is, which could be 60 days and it could be extended as well. But the point is, the oil and energy sanction relief is during this period. That's not after the nuclear discussion or the nuclear agreement. And then when everything's been agreed, then Trump said he'll lift all sanctions. But also, if you accept this Axios report and also Trump's own statement, They are saying that Iran's going to enrich uranium. They said we're going to let them enrich. So it's not about stopping Iran enrich uranium. So what's different? So in the Trump deal, Iran enriches uranium and gets sanction relief, complete sanction relief. In the Obama deal, in this element of it, and we'll go through each element if you want. In the Obama deal, Iran enriches a small element in enriched uranium and they get sanctions relief.
Yeah, and I don't really care about which deal is better. I just want to get back to cheap. I just want to see Israel be weakened, which this does because it makes Iran stronger. I just want to see Israel put in a box because I don't want to see this Greater Israel project succeed, and I want to see gas prices get back down, and this does both of that. So, yeah,
Andy, I've got some news for you. They're already in a fucking box. They're not going anywhere. And if they open their mouth up and do anything else, they're going to get leveled.
hell yeah, Haas.
We're on YouTube, guys, so please just be a bit mindful about
Sorry, Beatrix.
what we're
Sorry,
saying.
darling.
We don't want to blow Suleiman's YouTube channel.
You're right. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine, Hus. So just before, in one of the breaks between interviews, Manco, you and Andy were having a back and forth. What was that about? I can't remember now, but it was really interesting, and I've completely forgotten it. What was the point you made, Andy, when Manco came back at you?
I'm trying to remember what I was saying before that. I know one of the times I was mentioning Iran's military strength, and I think I was mentioning something about the deal before. I'm trying to remember exactly what I was saying before the interview.
Am I allowed to say gay and fake?
I don't know. No, I know you not. I know the F word you can't say because
Candace Owen says fake and gay, and she has a channel.
Yeah,
so.
but she's got special protections, I think.
True.
I'm going to bed. Good night, Sully. I love you, mate.
Appreciate
Take care,
it.
everybody.
Thanks for that, Hos.
I
Yeah,
love you,
because I
mate.
saw somebody else's channel. They said the F word and they got the other word for gay, but the F word, and I know their channel got their live went down. But Manco, what's your thoughts about this deal? You seem very happy with it then.
I don't think that we actually know what the deal is. You said there's an Axios leak. I looked at the Axios Twitter. I didn't see a leak. I saw an article saying this is what we think's in the deal, but I didn't see a leak.
There was apparently Barack Ravid went on Channel 12 and gave it to them, and that's where it all comes from.
I think Israel is trying to make the deal look worse than it really is because they have some kind of like an uprising against the deal, and they're assuming that deal is worse. So I saw some polling earlier about how Israel's completely turned against Trump. Israel was very favorable toward Trump, and then in the last week or so, they've turned unfavorable against Trump. So I think that that's probably where this is coming from. As far as we know, I don't think we actually know what's in the deal yet, and we're going to know within the next few days. So I'm sort of reserving judgment, but I don't think it is as pro-Iran as is being painted right now.
Yeah, I did say in my interview that there is a possibility, because what is the leak coming from? Either the White House leaked it to Axios, or Axios are doing a last minute, Barack Reed is doing a last minute attempt to kind of kill the deal. Yeah, I do agree that both of them possibilities are there. In terms of Trump's favorability rating, oh no, but he said everyone in Israel loved him. Did you think the love was permanent? Oh, damn. Maybe not. Okay.
I think the Democrats want to kill this deal in a way too, because they're saying, "Oh, Trump's handing Iran $300 billion," which is not what's happening. Because I think the Democrats want this economy to crash so they can dominate the midterms. I mean, so they're trying to make the deals sound like it's taxpayers handing Iran $300 billion. Because then, if MAGA revolts and they can trick Republicans into thinking that it's something it's not, and then the Strait stays closed 3 more months, the oil runs out, gas prices go $6, $7, $8 a gallon. The economy craters, Democrats win in a historic landslide. So Democrats want this recession to really kick off before the midterms, and because that benefits them politically. I mean, you have to remember, I mean, yes, both parties are controlled, but each side still wants to win.
That's what it was, Andy. Manco, you were about to tell Andy that you thought Americans don't care about Iran. Remember? He was talking about the midterms.
Yeah, the idea that like the midterms are going to be swung by what's going on in Iran is completely brain dead when it comes to sophistication and understanding of American domestic politics. It's huge for the people in this space. It is not huge to the average American.
Okay, the actual war aspect, like unfortunately, like the average American doesn't care about innocent people dying, which is unfortunate. But if the strait is still closed in 2-3 months and there's a giant economic recession hitting, then that absolutely will affect the midterms. So it's not the direct effect of the war, because most Americans don't know that thousands of people are getting killed in Lebanon and aren't sadly going to maybe care about that necessarily, but they will care if gas is $6 a gallon when the strait closed in September, when early voting
So
started.
then by that logic, Trump is doing the exact best move because he's making a deal with Iran so that the strait will be open, even if he does sort of give Iran a good deal.
Yes, he's trying to save face politically, is what it seems. I think he tried to do everything he could, and at some point he's like, you know what, I'm not going to commit complete political suicide. I pushed this as far as he could. We'll know for sure after this deal is actually signed and implemented. But like if he goes back to war now after all of this, like let's say Israel, like then it's gonna like be a complete disaster.
Cool.
Yeah, militarily speaking, I think we all can agree that Trump is making this quote deal because militarily speaking, there was no win for him, and the United States lost. We, the U.S., lost it,
Like, why do you say
because I want you, Mangos, to come on here
we can all
officially.
agree when it's obvious that we're not going to all
Be,
agree? And Trump
because I want
easily could
you
have
to
bombed
come on the
Iran's
space.
power
I want
plant,
you to come
bombed their
on and
natural gas
tell everyone that
facilities.
we won. Tell everyone the United States won
Oh,
that,
we
Mancos.
absolutely won decisively, Andrew. Overwhelmingly, completely. You can't even make
Trump
the
could have
argument
bombed their
that
power
Iran
plants, then they
won
destroy the Gulf
militarily.
oil, and we have a Great Depression. So that's a mutually assured destruction situation for the global economy. That's not winning.
No, it's not actually. And that's the thing, is that oil never even went up that much. All of the predictions of doom and gloom turned out to be completely and totally false. Reality stepped in and reality said, yeah, you know what? Oil's not going to actually go over about 105 a gallon or so. And then it's going to go back down into the 90s and stay there for months.
It
So
went
the
to
idea
one. It
that
went to
the
112,
IRGC was going to
Mancos.
hold the world's economy ransom ended up being completely false, because people were able to divert their trade without having to go through Hormuz. And then after the fact, the United States was able to start getting millions of barrels out per night of the Strait of Hormuz in the last few weeks.
Oh my dear
Yeah,
Lord! You've been
that's so
watching too
believable.
much. You've been watching Fox News, and you've been on
Yeah,
that
say
Zio
Fox
channel.
News, you boomer. You 80-year-old. Jesus Christ, you still think Fox News is relevant.
Oh my dear Lord! No, there are two Zio stations that sound exactly. You're talking their talk. You got the propaganda rolling. That's
This is
why it's
what
good
you
for people to hear
people
it.
always do, is you
You
say, oh, if
people.
someone says an opinion that I don't agree with, it must be a Zio. Ooh, like that's such a
You are,
fallacy. It's so
bro.
ridiculous.
You are
It's
my
guilt by
bro.
association, and I'm
And I
not
don't
even
mean
associated
brother.
with
You're
them.
not my brother. You're my bro. You're my bro, meaning you're my bro. But you're talking smack, bro. You were the guy
I'm just speaking truth, and you can't handle it.
day one. You were saying, "Oh, don't listen to this old boomer. They're not going to close the strait. We can open it. We have military
No,
power."
that's not
You
what
idiot.
the
We
dispute was
lost it.
about. You said the strait was going to be a kill box, and the United States could
And
never
it
get close to
was.
it.
It
And we
is.
went into the strait multiple times and proved you wrong.
Oh my Lord.
Wait, so let me ask Mancos, if they could just go into the straight and do whatever they want, why is he making a deal?
Amen.
I mean, he can bomb the power plants. Why is he making a deal?
But exactly, so that means that he didn't really win anything, right? Why make a deal with someone that you're beating, right?
No,
You would
the
just go
fact
for
that
full
Trump
victory.
is choosing to make a
But
deal does
but
not
Mancos,
imply that he had no other options. That doesn't mean that. That
he
one doesn't
said
prove the
total
other.
and unconditional surrender is what he is expecting from this whole war. And what happened now? Who's surrendering? How do you make a deal after you say like total
Do
total
you think
surrender?
Trump's surrendering? Is that what you think this is?
From what it looks like, yeah, this looks like a complete surrender.
I mean, when you go and say that
Yeah,
you
see,
are not accepting
you guys
anything,
are going to feel real sad in a few days
yeah,
when the deal actually comes out and it's not so
sure.
glowing for Iran.
Yeah, sure. But how do you go from Trump saying that he is going to have total and complete unconditional surrender to making a deal, and then it being to open up the Strait of Hormuz to how it was pre-war? How's that a win in any universe? And then on top of that, he's going to unfreeze their assets and give them basically access to more money than what even Obama did. And you want to consider this a win? Come on, man.
Before the war, it started with Trump saying, get out on the streets and protest. We're there with you. We're going to help you take your government back. So it started from the people are going to overthrow the government of Iran to, oh no, complete and unconditional surrender, but we'll let the government stay intact, to now the U.S. is giving concessions. So it went from complete and total regime change to, we'll let this government stay in, but they're going to have to give up a lot, to now we're giving up a lot. So remember, the original goal of this before the war was they literally thought these protesters that the U.S. and Mossad slipped some arms to were going to somehow topple the IRGC. Like, that was literally their original delusion. You had these people like put up a sign in Tehran that said like, "This is now Trump Street." Remember that back in January? That was cute.
But Andy, not even that. Like, just to add to your point, Andy. I mean, Mankos is saying, "Oh, well, he didn't attack their infrastructure." Okay, but Iran would have done it right back to the Gulf countries and Israel. Well, what would that have changed? That would have just escalated the war into something deeper.
So Manko, let's deal with this issue one at a time. So the $24 billion that United States of America is going to give back to Iran. Did Iran have that $24 billion before the war?
I don't think there's been any money that's supposed to come from the United States
No,
to
you're
Iran.
not understanding it, because I know you're talking more about the semantics. I'm not talking about the semantics, right? I'm keeping it either, it could be both aspects. So, because you're arguing, oh no, like the American side, they're not going to give it until Iran follows X, Y, and Z, right? Okay, fine. I'm conceding that. I don't agree with it, but for this discussion, fine. Irrespective of what happens, so the 24 billion is going to be based on Iran following X, Y, and Z. And it sounds like from the agreement that the X, Y, and Z is essentially Iran needs to continue negotiating in good faith. And the second element of it is opening the Strait of Hormuz, the strait being closed before, opening already before. So in terms of that element of it, do you agree in a logical manner, as opposed to trying to defend the American or Israeli position, that $24 billion that was frozen before the 28th of February, there was no plans to give Iran those unfrozen assets back?
Yeah, I mean, the default position is that the sanctions stay in place.
So that's something Iran has achieved or received after whatever the war occurred. So they weren't going to get the 24 billion, and now they are going to be getting 24 billion. We can disagree on whether 50% they're going to get on day one, or whether it's going to be shared throughout the 60 days, or wherever it is, but they're going to get 24 billion. Okay, so that's one thing.
But my question
Well, I
would
don't know
be,
how much they're going to get, but they're going to get
Look,
some kind of
let's not
reward
semantical. Like,
in
okay,
exchange
it might
for
be, let's
like
not.
giving up something.
Okay,
I have a quick question.
Even if it's $1, whatever it is, it's more than what they had before. So 24 billion. So that's confirmed. Now, this $300 billion investment, do you agree that this was never a plan before the war, and now it's a plan now?
Ooh.
Manko?
Hold on, I had to unlock my phone. Yeah, so the investment thing, I think the correct characterization of that is this. It is going to be similar to the Ukraine situation, where it's opening up so that people can do foreign direct investment, but it's strictly voluntary. It's not like giving reparations.
Apparently,
and if you do invest, you get to own whatever it is you're investing. So it's not like you're losing money or giving aid to Iran.
I
It's
understand that.
Iran
Again,
opening up for business.
listen, I don't disagree with that. If you've heard my interviews, you know that I have severe reservations about this. But you agree that let's call it investment again. Let me not debate the semantics. That investment some reports are saying already 50% of that money is already ready. But okay, let's assume whatever. But you agree that that investment wasn't allowed in Iran before this war and now is allowed in Iran after this war?
Yeah, 100%. The
Okay.
United States is giving like incentives and rewards in exchange for Iran doing the things that the United States want.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll come to that in a second. Okay. Now, those are two major concessions. Do you agree that Israel was at war with Lebanon? They were bombing Lebanon every single day, and if there is a cessation in Lebanon, that's something Iran's gained since the war that it didn't have beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty big if Israel backs out of Lebanon completely and stops attacking Lebanon, then that's saving Hezbollah, and that's going to be a huge win for their
I don't know. It's
position.
probably saving Israel, but anyway, let's not get into semantics. I know you're throwing those things in to kind of derail away from the main conversation. However,
No, I'm not derailing.
no, because I don't agree with you that
if
they're going to
Hezbollah is going
destroy
to win, why
Hezbollah.
does Iran need to save them?
Hezbollah's dominating Israel on the ground. There's much more Israeli casualties on the ground than there is Hezbollah. But again,
Totally
Then
agree.
why is Iran trying to
see,
put
you
a
did
stop
it.
to
See,
it?
it's not
Iran
going to
should
work.
be
It's not going to
saying,
work.
keep
It's
fighting.
not going to. Manko will debate this after, and I'll demonstrate that you're wrong about this as well. But I'm not going to make you move away from this point. Now, we've covered many issues there. Now, the other element, I'm going to get to the nuclear because that's the one that you possibly think that it's a win for America and Israel. The Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz was open before the war. After the war, either it's what you said is happening, which is just total free, open Strait of Hormuz forever, or it's that America, and according to Axios, it is America and Oman being in charge of it, but okay, let's assume it's not. Not Oman and Iran being in charge of it. Even going with yours, it's the same as it was before, right? Manko.
Yeah, you mean, Iran's returning to the status quo.
Yeah, there's no gains or losses, right?
Yeah, it's the United States taking off their blockade and Iran taking off their quote-unquote blockade.
Okay. And by the way, I don't think that's the case. I think that there is going to be Iranian management over it, and this is going to be a win for Iran. But at a minimum, let's just go with yours. It's a draw. Then the final one is the nuclear enriched uranium. So that's the one that it seems like you're saying is going to be the concession. So on that specific point, Iran, Trump's already said he's going to let them enrich uranium. He's already said that they can dilute within their own country. So can you explain to me what Trump's gaining now that he wasn't going to gain in February the 27th from the nuclear aspect?
I have not seen that Trump has definitively said that they are going to continue to enrich. I have seen multiple statements that the United States is going to go in and in cooperation with Iran is going to dig up all of these stockpiles and then is either going to
wait, one second. Do you remember we went through this already? So it's like Groundhog Day. Do you remember the tweet from Trump where he said that I'm going to let Iran keep it in their own country and dilute it under supervision?
He said two things. There have been multiple statements about this, and they're not all entirely consistent. One of the statements is that it will be destroyed in place, not taken out of the country. Other people have said it would be taken out of the country in various ways, but more recently, it's either been destroyed in place or diluted in place.
I agree with that. I think Trump's made a number of contradictory statements, and in some he did say what you said, and in some he said that they're going to be allowed to dilute. In a Truth Social post, he said they're going to be allowed to dilute within their own country. So even that we don't know about, so we can't really say that's a win or a loss.
And we don't know how much dilution, because it seems to be from statements like anonymous source statements from the U.S. government that even 3% is too much, so that it would have to be diluted to something below that.
Okay, I'm just getting the exact quote for you because he's actually said it in numerous places. Maybe you should ask your AI as well. That has Trump said that he's going to allow Iran to enrich?
Yeah, I'll ask it for all of Trump's quotes from the past.
Yeah, but ask it. Has Trump made any statement about allowing Iran to enrich some uranium and then you can maybe ask it, such as, for example, in civilian use. And I don't see it as a negative. You're just checking, just to confirm. It's a quick check. I'm not saying it as an insult. Okay, you can check that. So yeah, so the reason I went through this exercise is, where's the win for US? So Trump won this war, but then he basically conceded everything. Interesting. Interesting indeed. The Art of has anybody read his book? Actually, Ethan has read his book, The Art of Negotiation. Interesting indeed. Okay, let's go to let's go to Prashant. Prashant, jump in.
Yeah, thanks, Sulaiman. I want to point out first that what Andy said a little earlier is I don't know the word to describe it. It just shows the insanity in the American government and in both parties, because now the Democrats don't want to give Iran any of their money. And when Trump first addressed the issue, he didn't want to give Iran any of their money. So at some point, one side wants to give them the money and then they don't. And then the other side wants to give them money and they don't. And it just shows the insanity of the American government. Most of the people in the American government, just a complete, utter inconsistency and insanity. And I could use a few other words, but I'll just leave them off for now. You know, I don't know all the details of this new deal, but as far as the nuclear part, I don't hear Iran giving up anything nuclear yet from what I've heard you folks talk. They've made an initial part that's going to be agreed upon initially, and then they're going to negotiate on the nuclear issue. And personally, I trust Iran with nuclear way more than I trust Trump and or many other people in the U.S. government. So that's my thought on that one. And my third thought, so that I don't go on too long, is I really like what Haas says and the input he gives. I wish he was here because I just want to compliment him, because what I hear him saying is two things. There is an objective moral principle in this whole mess.
Appreciate you guys.
And I personally hear that's what Haas is saying, that Iran's going to stick to. And I believe that Iran is that way for the most part, following an objective morality that all of humans should agree with. And the other thing that I like that Haas says is if they don't, they're going to pay worse than they've already paid. As you all like to say, what is the word? Kinetically. So I really like Haas's position, because that's what I hear him saying. I won't repeat it. I hope you understood what I said. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Thanks for that. Let's go to Adam. Adam, jump in.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, their deal, from what I know of, is that anyone, once they sign it, it's not that they're just doing negotiations for the nuclear waste that's there. And they're not letting them have any of it left. That's what I was told.
I don't understand now. Can you repeat that? Because I never understood what you said.
Okay, whatever's left, the nuclear waste that's left, all that stuff that's there, they're going to just negotiate on getting that back. Nothing's in paper. They're just opening up a negotiation for 60 days. They're going to open up the straight up the roots until they can figure out what they're going to do. But that 60 days is only going to remain open if Israel doesn't attack Lebanon. How long do you think that's going to be? That's the bet I'm wondering.
You guys joining in. I mean, you're right there.
I mean, it's all contingent on Israel right now and what our response to Israel and what Iran's response to Israel will be after they attack Lebanon. It's not if, it's when.
By the way, Suleiman, I got you a list of quotes whenever you're ready.
Yeah, go for it. The relevant ones, though. I don't want to go over actually like a one.
So I asked. So first, it says a June 14th, 2026 telephone interview with the New York Times, published June 15th. His quotes were, "They can only enrich for non-military purposes forever, and that it could never be used by the military."
So you accept
that? But that is saying yes to enrichment. Yeah. Then another one, remarks at the G7 summit, transcripts from pool reporting, quote, but the one thing that's happening that's of note, frankly, the one thing that really matters to me is Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to develop it. They're not going to buy it. They're not going to do anything with it, etc. They fully agree to that. So strong police. Oh God, stupid. The AI
See,
did not talk about that. That was a wrong quote from them. So then he said the enriched uranium nuclear dust will either be immediately turned over to the United States to be brought home and destroyed, for preferably in conjunction or coordination with the Islamic Republic of Iran, destroyed in place or at another acceptable location.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all that it gave me.
So you accept
For
what
the
I
last,
said, then, right?
I asked for 2 weeks. I'm sure there's more in the last 2 weeks, but that was really from like the last few days.
Cool. So you accept what I said then, right?
Yeah, he said it both ways, for
He didn't
sure.
say. No. Because what he says is, when he says we're going to get the nuclear dust, he's talking about the highly enriched uranium. He just uses that verbiage because he knows it's easy to manipulate MAGA because there's no nuance. So when he says we're going to get the nuclear dust, he means the highly enriched uranium, the 60% or whatever. But as per your quote, as I said, he is saying they're going to allow enriched uranium. So this is my point. We're back to the same point. But let's welcome Essen onto the stage. Essen, thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Can you hear us?
Hi guys. I'm not sure because my connectivity is not good. Can you
No, we
guys
can hear
hear me?
you. We can hear you. Yes, we can hear you. What's your thoughts
Okay.
about this Axios version of the MOU?
Look, obviously, whenever there is something coming out of the in the mouth of Barack Ravid, you have to be very skeptical of it. But basically, it's very similar to what Iran has said. The thing is that there are a couple of things which I saw people bringing up. I mean, you had a very good show with Dimitri Laskaris. He mentioned the fact that this is not going to be sanction relief to the extent that people think, because he was quoting Dr. Fadi Zedi. He couldn't remember the laws that were passed by United States Congress. For those who are interested in reading about those things, the laws are called CISADA, the Comprehensive Iran Sanction Accountability Act or something. The other one is CATSA. CATSA, interestingly enough, was passed on after JCPOA, right? So we had JCPOA that was, a compromise between Iran and the United States. Iran is going to limit its civilian peaceful nuclear program. United States is going to give Iran sanction relief. Despite that, you had sanctions, new sanctions being reimposed. I mean, when I say new sanctions and reimposed, there is a reason for that. Because they basically, what they did was they removed certain sanctions on Iran, but they reimposed the same ones under different justifications, right? So previously they were because of Iran's nuclear ambition and everything. But then they turned it they reimposed those sanctions under different excuses. So it's very important to know that there are limitations, very, very profound limitations when it comes to sanction relief. The only sanctions that United States president can lift are the ones that are imposed through executive orders. And those are negligible ones, if I'm being honest. So I'm totally on that front with Dr. Fadi Zedi. He is actually one of the few analysts inside Iran who knows what he's talking about. But yeah, this is like with regard to that. I'm sure that other members of your panel have things to say about that. But I will get back on other provisions if you want me later on.
Thanks for that, Ehsan. Yeah, we like Dr. Fouad. We've had him on quite a few times on the show. I think he's a bit busy at the moment, so we're probably going to do something with him next week. But yeah, we like him a lot. He knows what he's talking about. Let's bring this guy up. Who's this guy? Okay. In the meantime, guys, retweet the space, reshare the space. let everybody know we're live. Let's try and get as many people in here as possible. Iran is saying that they will strike Israel if they continue to not uphold the deal. Also, guys, make sure you're following the Moral Resistance page. It's the co-host of here, and yeah, make sure you're following it. Right. Let's go to Hassan. Hassan, thanks for joining us. Hope you're doing well. What's your thoughts? Oh, I was talking all that time and it was on mute. Damn. Okay, Hussein, what's your thoughts about the deal?
Well, first of all, I just want to congratulate Iran on their victory over the Zionist entity. Congratulations, Spankos, on the Iranian victory. I don't want to pour salt in the wounds, Soli, but I just want to ask Mankos. I'm trying to look through this deal so far, that what we know of so far, and I'm just trying to look for anywhere that Trump kind of won. But Mankos, I want to, like, do you have anywhere in this where Trump comes out a winner?
Yeah, it's really easy. So it's the part where Trump got to bomb Iran for a month and destroy $500 billion to $1 trillion worth of Iranian equipment and buildings and infrastructure for their military and their missile program and all those other things. And then when Trump wanted the war to be over and Iran said, no, we're not going to let the war be over, we're going to continue doing this stuff with Hormuz, Trump is now getting the end of that. So he got away with bombing Iran for a month, and now Iran's not going to do anything about it anymore.
I don't see the win there, but I mean, the military bases got obliterated in the Middle East as well. Like, how does he win from that?
Yeah, it was very little damage, and they were evacuated anyway. And the United States only kept those bases for like low-level stuff. So for actually a big war like this, they're irrelevant. And so I don't think they're going to be rebuilt or anything like that anyway.
You know what I'm struggling with here, Brother Hussein, right?
Sorry, I had a phone call. I had a phone call. Sorry, bitches. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I'm struggling with here, Brother Hussein, is this Iran says if Israel continues striking Lebanon, they will respond. Like, what kind of nonsense is that? You can't say that they've broken the ceasefire 78 or 84 times or whatever that number is in the last 2 days, and we're going to do nothing. Oh, but if they continue it, then we might do something. Like, what the heck is going on with them? What's that about?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah, anybody. You.
Oh, you're asking me why is Iran threatening and not acting on
No, it doesn't
the?
make sense, is what I'm saying, right? Or do you think it does? Do you think this is okay?
I don't think it's 100% okay, but I can see where they're coming from. I guess they're trying to play the good faith actor, I guess, and kind of get this deal closed out because they feel that.
And Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah was literally killed by Israel. Like, how much good faith?
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
do you know what I mean? Like, come on, Brother Hussein, we've been through this together, right?
Yeah, it was
The
Sayyid Hassan
Supreme Leader Khamenei
Nasrallah.
was killed by them. Minab School was done by them. Like, the list of crimes is long. Like, how much freaking good faith? And you know what? Fine. You can't do anything. You're not going to do anything. Then don't make these statements of, oh, but if they carry on doing it, then we might take action.
No, I think they still have to make the statements because they have to make it known that Israel has to play ball, or else it's actually going to make good on its promise. And I mean, Iran does make good on its promise. They showed last time, and I don't agree that they didn't hit Israel the last time the Dahiya was hit. But again, that came with Trump's concession to he's going to control Israel and whatnot. So I think this time around that if things go south in terms of Israel not withdrawing from South Lebanon, I think for sure they're going to make good on their word now and put punishment on Israel. And look, I'm with you with Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah and Sayyid Ali Khamenei and the strike on Tehran.
Ismail Hania,
Ismail Haniyeh, yep.
literally Raisi, Soleimani, Munavsku, what's the list? How long should we go with this list of crime sheet? And you know what it is? My problem is that even one life is too much to be lost in South Lebanon. And it's like, we're going to make good on our promise, but we're trusting Trump to rein in Israel. And we expect that Israel will hold a ceasefire, even though we know the enemy. And we're going to just count the number of ceasefires that have been broken in the last 2 days and put a statement out there. And then what? How many are they going to kill by tomorrow morning? Then what? When does that clock start again? It's just I have a problem with this whole thing. It really sticks in my throat.
Well, and Israel hasn't stopped, right? I just saw reports that they're still shelling in South Lebanon.
Yeah, they are, Manco.
Yeah, they are. The resistance is putting pain on them too. They're trying to advance into a town and take over a mountaintop. And they're getting repelled back. But in any case, we know that Israel is not going to allow peace to happen. This is why, I don't honestly, I kind of agree with Suleiman on part of his assessment when he says that this could be possibly a trap for Iran. They're coming in good faith, but this is going to turn around. I don't think Trump's going to be able to put a leash on his dog, or rather take the leash off his neck from Netanyahu, and stop them from continuing attacks on Lebanon. I think this is going to drag out for a little bit longer, and I hope it doesn't come to the point where it's okay, we'll sign this, and within the 60 days post this signing, we're going to have to try to reel in Israel. But during that 60 days, Israel's still going to strike Lebanon. There's going to be more martyrs, and people are going back into the south. In Lebanon, they're not stopping. Once they heard this peace thing was going on, they just started driving down to the south. I know a lot of friends that have been trying to get back into their towns, and so I just hope they're not in the crossfire of all this as this goes down. But I do have faith that Iran is going to respond if Israel continues this, and we just might be back right into war again. And I don't know how. And Trump is in a corner now. He has to make a decision. How is he going to control Netanyahu and the Israeli regime and to put a leash on him? And it's going to be hard because we all know that there's a huge likelihood that they have something on him connected to Epstein. And it's do I risk my my reputation, or do I try to make peace because he's the no new wars president? So I don't know. It's tough for him, but I just don't see any way of stopping Israel, honestly, from their genocidal agenda. And plus, Netanyahu, he's on trial and he can't show weakness to his people. And it's a huge conundrum. And I don't see this ending good, honestly.
You know what? So we all know what Israel's about, right? We all know this. And they've been like this forever. From its inception to the present day, they've not changed in terms of their bloodlust, their treachery, their lying, whatever. We all know what American foreign policy is like, and we all know what Trump's about, right? In this administration, this time round, and even last time round, but this time round, it's as obvious as night and day, guys filling him and his family's pockets with billions of dollars. Today, I was reading a statement he was making, and I think it was, I don't know, the leader of the UAE was there, and oh my God, was he sucking up to that guy? He was like, oh, he's got money, he can talk quietly. Oh my God, when you got that much money, you can do so much. And I'm paraphrasing here, but I read it and I thought, oh my God, that's so humiliating. Literally, you're going to suck up to somebody that much because they've got a bit of money. So he's just he's prostituting himself to the highest bidder. Okay, Trump in this administration. And be that oil companies, be that the GCC, be that the leader of Qatar, be that anybody, the highest bidder. So we know what that's about. But I'm putting a question mark here over Iran. I don't believe it's a trap for Iran. Because for it to be a trap for Iran, Iran would have to have given good faith to America on its foreign policy and to Israel on its foreign policy. The country that's put sanctions on you globally for 47 years, you're going to give them good faith. The country that killed Soleimani, the helicopter didn't fall out of the sky, you're going to give them good faith, and you're going to expect them to rein in Israel. It's not happening. I have a problem with this. And I know I'm a minority, but I just wanted to put it out there.
Well, I don't agree with that, because what would you do then if you were Iran?
But that's a different question, though, Suleiman, isn't it? The
Not
problem
really.
is what they have done, I have a problem with. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I'm saying I don't buy the narrative that they're spinning of, oh, but if Israel continues, we might have to take action because we really hoped that Trump would be able to rein in Israel. Like, how many times just in this 109 days, and I always look at your title to see how long it's been, right? How many times have been over that loop? How many freaking times?
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of people, and this is for example, if you see my interview with Dimitri Laskaris and various others, a lot of these people do think that America is the one who controls Israel and it's not the other way around. And these guys all do as well. So, for example, I know a lot of people in Iran believe that. I know there's a lot of people, for example, Hassan Nasrallah, you mentioned, he used to believe that as well. I don't agree with that position. So they do
Yeah,
probably
he did
think.
used to believe that. He did used to believe that. I remember his statements about it.
So they probably do think that there is this ability for America to put Israel on a leash, and this is why whenever Israel attack, if you remember, every single time they're always like they're working together. There's no way they could have done it on their own, that type of stuff. So first of all, they do probably think that America can get Israel to agree. That's the first thing. But the second thing about it is, if you go down the line that you're saying, oh, guess what, don't ever trust them, that's fine. But then that means never negotiate, just fight to the death and let all your people die and let everyone die and just hope for the best. Well, I just don't agree with that. I think you need to use whatever tools you have at your arsenal. You're right now, if this deal is true, it means you've got everything anyway. What more would you get by letting more of your people die or letting more people die throughout the region? So there is a lot of merit in making the deal. The problem is, I think, because I would disagree with people, I think Israel does control America, and therefore they will do something to harm this deal at some point or restart this war at some point. But from Iran's perspective, I mean, basically what you're saying is if you can't trust them, never negotiate. But I just don't agree with that.
But this is the thing I have a problem with as well, Suleiman, right? Like, I literally, the Iranian people, right, who have stood up in Iran, utmost respect to them, utmost respect to them. And in the same way as in America, right, I don't, and in the UK, generally speaking, in the UK, we don't blame a people for the actions of their government. This is not a reflection on the people of Iran. I'm not including the freaking monarchists in that. I'm talking about the brave, courageous people of Iran. The same with the brave people of Lebanon, who are not represented by that cowardice freaking government in Lebanon. But these people at the top of Iran, this Galibaf and stuff, Galibaf, oh no, I'm not negotiating, and we're not negotiating, we're never going to negotiate. And then they released the name Galibaf. And then he had to come clean and say, oh, yeah, well, we are negotiating. It's like, what are you doing? We're never going to negotiate with them because we're never going to trust them. And then you go and frigging negotiate with them. There's been zero transparency through this. I have a problem with the whole thing. But anyway, I'll pause there because, yeah.
I mean, if anything, Beatrix, Iran is kind of putting a wedge in between America and Israel right now. So I mean, there is discontent right now between them. I mean, it might not be major, but this is a huge
I
breaking
don't
point.
think I don't think it's Iran. I
It's
think
weird. It's weird. I was
probably
still talking, Mankos, and you just interrupted. That's weird. But anyways, Beatrix, and I'll get back to you, Mankos, in a second. I didn't forget about. I had a phone call. I didn't forget about
He's
your.
confusing Beatrix with Mankos. You see, they sound quite similar.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a little discontent there, and there's a little wedge being driven in between them, and this is a huge turning point because you're talking about peace and global economics. Going back to the global economic standard, or are we going to go into a more painful time? And Israel is getting in the way of that, and I think this is a huge turning point. But yeah, anyways, I'll turn it back to you, Beatrice.
Yeah, thanks for that, Brother Hussein. I'm not even convinced about that, but you know what? I don't want to be all glass half empty on the space because I know there's a lot of different perspectives on this, and I think we should have an open discussion. Let's see what Mr. Mankos wanted to jump in with, and then we'll take some other opinions. Go ahead, Mankos. Okay, Mankos probably got a call from his chick. Let's go to somebody else. Who should we go to? Let's go to Hassan. Hassan, jump in.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for giving me this time to talk about it. And I just want to remind everybody that when we were in the fight with the US, at what conditions we accepted the ceasefire and starting the negotiations. We had two preconditions, if you remember well. the two preconditions for starting the negotiations was we get our blocked money, and also we have ceasefire in the whole axis. And Mr. Ghalibaf, he wrote that none of them was met, and the negotiation on ceasefire is unreasonable. It is written. You can find it in the social media. But with no reason, and we don't know what happened. Later, they went for the ceasefire and the negotiations, and it's okay. It's okay. So again, USA is selling us our money, our own money again for this new deal, and also again this ceasefire in the whole axis. Again, they are selling it. By the way, when we accepted the ceasefire, if you remember, maybe they are in Persian, they are not translated in English. But if you consider how our National Security Council they accepted the ceasefire, they mentioned because USA accepted to meet our 10 requests, which is complete, which includes the whole compensation of the war, relieving all the sanctions, leaving the U.S. military from the region completely, and they were very strong conditions. And then they say because USA begged Iran to stop the war, and we meet these conditions for the ceasefire. Then Iran accepted the ceasefire and they started the negotiations. But it was very obvious that it means that the USA accepted that they're defeated, but and they won't meet this one and meet these conditions. And even from the first day, we observed the aggression of the Israel into the Lebanon, and Iran always threatens the Israel. But as we saw, even yesterday, Lebanon was attacked 84 times, and we don't know that what's the point of this deal. And if you look at this deal, this kind of MOU, very carefully, you will see Iran will do something immediately, which is opening the strait. It is after the signature, they open the strait immediately, but almost all other obligations that US must meet, they are in a very subjective manners. They say that in the case of progression in the negotiations, we will meet these obligations. In the case of after 6 years, if we reach to this point with the acceptance of the both, with the agreement of the both sides, we meet this kind of thing. You will see everything is subjective. So Iran cannot claim easily those obligations. And also Iran showed before that they are not very strict about their condition, as I mentioned about the preconditions for the first ceasefire. And this is not our first talk and deal with USA. We had lots of experience for dealing with USA, and like JCPOA, which was a very famous and great one. And this is my prediction, as you will see. We will have a huge decrease of the oil price in the market, as we can see right now. And this is it's a kind of gift for the Trump. And we don't see any benefits for Iran until now yet. But if you look at the market, you will see the price of the oil right now. There is no ceasefire in Lebanon. You don't see any ceasefire. um, you see it is in the deal, but you won't see any ceasefire in Lebanon. And also, you don't see any dollars, maybe just a little amount, cash inside of Iran. Maybe they say we open it, we release it, but it is still in Qatar. Okay, from Qatar it goes to Emirates. They already sell us this kind of money several times. It came from South Korea, then it blocked in Qatar, then again and again. So you don't see any money comes to Iran. And after a while, USA, because USA at the first time Trump miscalculated the way that they attack Iran. They thought that it's an easy task. But right now, they feel they will fill all of their reserves. They get organized and with NATO and with other allies. And and they also weaken the Hezbollah in Lebanon. And also, right now, Trump is trying to attack Hezbollah, not by not by Israel. They are planning with Assad from the Syria. This is their new plan. They want to attack Hezbollah from Syria to weaken them. And in this case, they say, okay, didn't we follow the deal. It is not our fault. And after they weaken the Hezbollah, they will attack Iran very harshly this time. By the way, they get defeated at the end, but we will spend a lot, and we lose a lot. And you will see in the future, sooner or late, that this is the plan of the USA. And yeah, this is you will see. And these deals, like the other deals, unfortunately, they deceived us. They could release the pressure from the USA and from the market, and that's it. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my ideas.
That's okay. You're welcome, Hassan. So let me just I don't feel that they will attack Iran again, but I don't want to put that as the main thing. What I want to ask you is, when you talk about Iran, you're talking about these people negotiating, right?
Exactly.
It's not the will of the people in Iran, is it?
Exactly. Right now, you can see the people in the streets of Iran right now. Every night they are protesting. Most of them, they are against these kind of negotiations, and they are very angry. And you will see, if you follow the social media and the videos that we can see in social media about these people, they cannot believe it. They cannot believe it that we were in a very strong position before the ceasefire, and right now we are going to give some these. We are so generous, and we are giving these kind of gifts to the Trump easily, without any benefits. Right now, we don't see any benefits for Iran. We don't see, not on the ground. In the media, in the interviews, there's a propaganda. If they like Iran, they are biased, and they say, okay, Iran has a very great victory. But look at the numbers. Look at what we received until now. Nothing yet. Nothing.
Has no ships gone out of the Strait of Hormuz since US removed its blockade?
Okay, this is something that before the ceasefire, Iran could sell its oil even during the war, before the ceasefire, but after ceasefire, we gave this opportunity to US to construct that blockade at that time. And this is again another opportunity that we gave to USA
That's
after the
not false.
ceasefire.
That's false. That's false because Iran could sell their oil, but it was sanctioned. Now you have it where
Yeah, exactly. This is the point. This is the main
So
point.
no, but you're
Because
saying no, but
before,
you're
yeah,
trying to make it look like that there's not been a change. I'm explaining it to
we
you.
didn't have any problem. We
Okay,
didn't
can I
have
finish
any
my point?
problem.
You keep.
Yeah,
Can I
okay,
finish my point? Because you've talked like literally 20 minutes.
okay.
So the what you're saying is false because you made two claims and both of your claims are incorrect. So your first claim was that Iran hasn't received anything tangible and has given away a lot. That's incorrect. Actually, this second, right now, US has removed its blockade. A huge number of Iranian vessels have gone out of the Strait of Hormuz. So that's one change. Then you countered and said, oh, but that's the what Iranian vessels used to go out before February the 28th. Yes, they did. And now you're changing the conversation. But even to go through the change, that the difference even from then is that now those vessels are not sanctioned. They don't need to do spoofing, and they're able to get those oil out without basically it being a sanctioned product. They're able to use the money from it and procure the proceeds from it. So that's a change from before February the 28th and a change from now. In terms of the US right now, they've not received anything. The blockade, if it is lifted, will be lifted on Friday. It's not lifted at the moment. So what you're saying is incorrect, but go ahead, give your
Okay,
response.
yeah, I just, for your two claims, first of all, before the ceasefire, we didn't have that blockade, and even we could sell our oil at that time, even with higher prices,
Was it
because Iran.
sanctioned? Was it sanctioned? You
No,
didn't sell
no.
it for half
Let me
prices.
tell you. Yeah,
That's
this
not
is for
true.
your
You gave
no,
it
no.
as a discount to
Iran.
China.
No, no.
That's not true.
Iran easily sold its oil to China. China
Did
didn't care about the
did
sanctions.
did it
But
did it sell it to China at full price or discounted price?
it doesn't. Who said that it is in this discounted price?
This is well known. If you do the research, you would know this. This is well known.
It
China
is.
used to get China got Iranian oil at extreme discounts. In some instances, they would get 40% off from the
I
market
don't
rate.
think. I don't think so. This is a huge discount. A discount can be acceptable if they, for example, if they say
Why don't you do the
we.
research rather than saying I don't think?
Okay, I do this
Yeah.
research. I do the research. By the way, do you think right now Iran sells in the full price, and then it has an open market that to sell any country that it wants? Don't
So right
think.
now
Yeah.
they do have that ability according to the US. Now, will they do it is your question. So can they do it? Yes. Will they do it? I would assume no, because you're not going to create a new contract within 60 days. But again, can they do it? Yes, they can. And also what they also can do is they can receive that money. As you know, a huge amount of Iranian money has been sanctioned. So when they did sell oil to China, you know, these frozen assets, you know where they come from?
Frozen assets.
Yeah, so the Iranian frozen assets, do you know where they come from?
I don't know. They're in Qatar or Emirates.
I
So,
mean, I didn't ask where they were, but yeah, some of it's in Qatar, some of it's in Emirates, some of it's
yes.
in South Korea. They're in various countries. But do you know where they come from? Like the proceeds of them, where do they come from?
Okay. They sold their. Actually, this is a very complicated lines Iran has, that it is not all the money that Iran gets lots of money by selling the oil, but from very complicated and not transparent ways.
I understand
But
that. I understand they
some of them
used.
is
I
blocked. Yeah,
listen. I
some
know
of.
this. You're changing the argument. I know this. I know that Iran had to use
and right
different
now, and
modes.
even right now,
Okay.
you are saying that they will give the frozen money to the Iran, but you won't see it inside of Iran.
I didn't say that. So you're putting words in my mouth because you probably you didn't understand what I said, because I think you were trying to talk while I was talking. So there's a few, again, you're getting a lot of confusion. This is why I implore you to do some research, because it's quite clear that you've not done the research. So Iran's assets that are frozen in all these countries, the reason they're frozen is because they were proceeds from various trades that Iran did, largely speaking oil trades. And the reason they were frozen is because the US froze them because of those oil proceeds. So why I was giving you that example is because you claimed nothing changed. And I'm saying, well, that's another example of something changing, because now when Iran sells its oil, they can use the money from it, they can procure the money from it, and that money will not be frozen. So that's another change that's happened. And that's separate to the original argument, which was initially you said your claim was, wait a sec, Iran's giving up everything and the US is giving nothing. And I just demonstrated to you, actually, Iran is getting something right now, and the US has not received anything. And in terms of South Lebanon, I've been one of the biggest critics of South Lebanon, but I think there's now, and my problem is that I realize that sometimes there's people don't understand the nuance, and then they over exaggerate the other way. So let's look at what's happening in South Lebanon. So South Lebanon, Israel was bombing it, Israel was decimating it. Now, if you look at the level of bombing that's happening, there's no bombing going on in South Lebanon. There are specific small strikes going on, which are obviously a breaking of the ceasefire. But there's a major shift from what was happening 2 days ago than there is now. That being said, I do think Iran needs to act, because I think the Israelis will escalate this over time and basically trap Iran in. This has been my argument for like 4 or 5 days since I've heard about this. But in terms of there being no change, that's false as well. There has been a change since this deal has been made. And there's also been, so there's 2 examples of changes that are being made. Now, in terms of Iran's, in terms of the frozen assets, because you brought that up as a new point, I didn't mention that all. I'm agnostic about it, because I need to wait and see what happens, because Iran is claiming that they were going to receive 50%. JD Vance said they didn't. So either the Americans reneged on it or not. But I think that was a point of weakness. That being said, we need to look at how the money is going to be given and when it's going to be given. So that's a separate point that you brought up, but that wasn't a point I made.
Okay, so okay, you will see, because right now all these claims that they say, for example, Iran sells easily their oil and they get the money, they get the frozen money, and also there is the situation in the south of Lebanon has been changed. You will see very soon. And even yesterday we observed the attacks of Israel.
Wait, again, you're
84.
missing. Wait, stop. So I didn't say any of those things that you're saying. I think you don't. You need to. I think your problem is that you always have something in your head what you're gonna say, rather than listen to what someone is saying. So I did not say any of the things you said. I've been very critical because everybody knows, everybody follows me, everybody knows my interviews. I've been critical about two things. One is that Iran, when they were gonna fire on Israel, we got 3 points of leverage and they've kind of let them slip through a little bit. But in terms of your claim, in terms of there being no change, I just demonstrate to you two elements of change already. There's nothing to see. I'm saying in these 2 days, those changes have happened. Now you're denying those, and that's fine, but the evidence is quite clear. If you look at the tanker tracker and you look at the vessels, and even if you look at my good friend CIA Larry Johnson, who's actually done a very good Substack detailing the vessels that have gone out of the Strait of Hormuz since the lifting of the American blockade, it is a huge number, and it is largely Iranian vessels that have come out. So right now, the country that's benefiting significantly is Iran. The US hasn't got any benefit at the moment, nothing. Maybe on Friday when the Strait opens, then we can say there's some benefit, but right now it's zero benefit. So in the future we can discuss, but right now, tangibly, Iran's received some benefit. It's more than zero, and US hasn't received any benefit yet.
Okay, okay. For the blockade, again, as I mentioned, before the ceasefire, there was no blockade. And also, I
That's not
just
the point. You keep shifting. You're not understanding the point. I'm not talking about the ceasefire. If you go before that, then before the war, Iran, before the war, US was not willing to do any of those things. Then I'm debating Manco again, and we're going to go through each point. And the point is that, yeah, before the war, things were totally different. Before the war, Iran, they were never even thinking about unfreezing as Iran's assets. They were never thinking about giving Iran any kind of 300 billion. They were never even thinking about letting Iran have a nuclear enrichment. They were never even thinking about removing from Lebanon. That's before the war. I'm not talking about that. You're shifting the goalposts. Your
no.
original argument was this. This deal has
Yeah.
been put in place 2 days ago, right? On the 14th. Your argument was that in this deal on the 14th, Iran has given up a lot and the US hasn't done anything. And it's actually the other way around. I demonstrate to you that today is the 16th, and actually in these 2 days, US has made a number of given up a number of points, and Iran hasn't done anything yet.
Okay. Okay. By the way, I searched about the discount that Iran currently offer, a discount of about 1.3% per barrel in its oil to China. It is something that I search right now. It is
Yeah, you should
from
do more extensive search than
0.6% to
quickly. Yeah, you
1.3
should do more extensive
percent.
search than a simple
Okay.
Google search. It's actually detailed, and you look at it and you'll see that this, as I mentioned, that there were some discounts that went up to 40%.
Okay. By the way, okay, I don't want to take the time so much, but I said my claims and you will see in the future. Okay, thank you.
Well, I don't know what claim of yours we're going to see in the future, but anyway. I know you got the same points as Manco, so that's interesting. Okay, let's go to who else wants to jump in? Wolf, go ahead, Wolf.
What's up, guys? Good afternoon.
Your mic's not great.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's better now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll say good afternoon. I just wanted to, make a few points.
Is his mic low or is it me?
Can you guys hear me?
It's low.
It's low.
You need to sort your mic out. It's too low.
Hold on, my mic's low. Hold on. My mic's low?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Okay. I think this agreement is gonna hold for several reasons. I was reading a report that said that the U.S. intelligence now believes that Iran can pretty much open and close the strait whenever they want to, and they kind of feel like they now have like an economic nuclear bomb in their possession. So I don't. I understand that even though they say they can sell oil for for a temporary period of like 60 days, but I did read somewhere that it said Iran also tied the opening of the strait to that economic sanction, where they said something about the strait is going to be open for 60 days. So I don't think they were going to place any economic sanctions back on them. They got 150 they got 150 billion dollars automatically, and on top of that they have 13 billion dollars right now of worth of oil ready to go. So I mean, I don't. Anyone saying this is not a win for them, like I don't know what you're smoking, because at the start of this war, you had JD Vance and Trump talking about regime change and total subjugation or from their government, and now JD Vance is on TV talking about, well, we've tried the same thing for 47 years and now maybe we could be friends. That's not how he was sounding before the war started. That's not how anyone was starting. For Donald Trump to get on TV and tell Lindsey Graham to get in line, I don't need to read the MOU. Like, if there are reports that he's thinking about firing people in his cabinet if they're going against this, that just shows you where things are going. Like, you in a few days, by Friday, you're gonna read it and you're gonna be very disappointed to what you're gonna read, because you could just see by their body language, like he's gonna give up some stuff and people are gonna be pissed off. And that's pretty much all I had to say.
Yeah, I agree. Total Iranian victory. Arcats, jump in.
Oh, thanks, Solomon. I listened to a lot of this, and I know some people are already going to predict what I'm going to say here. However, I just don't know how we still talk in such generalities when we talk about a war like this, and whether we talk about the U.S. winning or losing, or Iran winning or losing. If Iran's getting all this money to say that they're winning, I want to see the people have that money. I want to see how fast this money filters down to the Iranian people, because that's the only way where you get a tangible win for the people. Because I'm sorry, but my belief is that there's lots of money that's going to be exchanging hands. I just don't think that the people, the citizens of any of these countries involved, are going to reap the benefits thereof. So I just, when we talk about the U.S. losing and people will point to the administration, they're not losing anything. Trump isn't losing anything. Neither are any of the warmongers who wanted to start this war, or at least for whatever reasons. And when I say warmongers, I just mean that in the sense of that these people make money off of war. So again, it doesn't matter where you look at around. Like, here's my only issue is, or not my only issue, but something that I see, and I don't mean to insult anybody, but it does seem for the most part that most people that are Muslim or support Iran believe that regime is infallible, and in the sense that actually, or that they're not on the take. And it seems it's an overwhelming belief where, you could look at almost any other country and most people will believe that they're governments. Then I realize that they're not all theocracies, that
Well,
they believe in.
this is not true. Obviously, you're trying to relay that argument because you're pro-Israel, and the issue is that in reality, it's to cause discontent. So, what you're saying is completely false, because if you look at Iran, before this war, people had different views, different perspectives on this government, and some agreed with it, some didn't. Even now, with this deal, there's protests in Iran because people think that they should continue with the war and not have a deal. So nobody thinks the government, even within Iran, that they're perfect. There is significant disagreement. Where there is alignment is that there is this extremist regime, which and I do think that Zionists do try and make it look like Iran and America and Israel are the same in order to diminish them, and this is part of the game. But there is a significant difference, and so I don't agree with this. They're all colluding or whatever. And so this whole, so that's what the point is. So nobody's saying they're infallible. Actually, many people have in this space. I've been very consistent in disagreeing with some of the decision making on the streets of Iran. People are disagreeing with the decision making. The people I've interviewed have disagreed with some of the decision making of Iran. So to say that one believes they're infallible is not true. What one agrees with Iran on is that they are vehemently against these intruders who are trying to destroy them. And these intruders, America and Israel, yes, Israel, supported by the Israeli people who right now are angry with Netanyahu for not continuing on this war, that they failed. They failed in all aspects. They failed in all of their objectives, and Iran end up getting a lot more, getting a lot more than they wanted before this war happened. And this is a demonstration for the neocons and war hawks that war isn't always the way. Look what the situation is for the United States of America and Israel. It's much, much worse now than it was on February the 27th. But go ahead, Alkat.
So I'm not a Zionist.
I mean, you've been on my stage. You are very defensive of Israel and the Zionists in there. Like, we've had many conversations about this.
I'm not defensive of anybody. I'm saying that I think at the ground level, it doesn't matter which people you're looking at, that they're propagandized to act a certain way, and then that's how they're received globally, and or regardless how the fact is. I think I'm not saying that those administrations or the people that are supposedly representing those people are not making decisions that are very evil, because I think that I've said that many times. But I don't mean to
disagree with you is that Israelis as a people are genocidal. Now, there will be some people within Israel who aren't, a very small percentage, but the data quite clearly shows that, for example, 80% plus of them said that they hadn't gone far enough in Gaza, so they wanted the Gaza genocide to continue. And right now, the majority of them want this war with Lebanon and Iran to continue. So this is again, you trying to equivocate Israeli people who are genocidal with people who aren't genocidal and saying all people are the same. No, they're not. These people specifically, whether propagandized or not, I don't disagree that some of this will be because of propaganda, but whatever it may be, they are definitely vehemently supporting the murder of other human beings. But do continue.
Okay, well, I'm not going to. I don't think that's true. And if we were to take a poll of how many people currently would like to see the nation of Israel be destroyed with all its people in it, you would get the reaction from a lot of people, in particular some Muslim countries, to say, yeah.
I told you you're a Zionist, bro. You're an actual Zionist and you're a propagandist.
Can you let me finish? Can you let me finish talking?
No, I'm not going to let you finish talking. I'm going to respond to
Why
your
not?
lie
You don't
and your
even
propaganda.
but you're assuming my point.
Wait 1 second. Control yourself, because you got exposed and now you're screaming. Control yourself. So no, Muslims do not want to murder all Jews. This is false. Muslims do not want to murder every single person in Israel. That's false. Those people, there will be a minutia, of course, who maybe do, but those people who want the end of the Israeli state, they do not want the murder of the Israeli people. What they want is, they want the end and the dismantling of the state of Israel, which is a supremacist state that essentially treats people, it's an ethno-supremacist state that treats people as second-class citizens if you're not Jewish. So that's the position. So nobody wants the murder, or hardly anybody wants the murder of those. So when you're trying to make the claim, and this is why you are a Zionist propagandist, because when I gave you an example of a poll in Israel that wanted the Gaza genocide to continue, you were like, I don't believe that. Well, I don't care if you don't believe it. There's polls about it. And then you were like, but if you did a poll for Muslims, they'd want to murder all the Jews and everyone in Israel. Absolutely ridiculous. You are a propagandist. you are, and this is why it's always consistent. Why is it all these propagandists have this opinion that, oh, guess what, Israel and America are colluding together, sorry, Iran and America are colluding together, and not all of it's not real. So yeah, I'm not gonna allow, basically, yeah, so that, so I'm seeing this consistent point amongst you guys. So yeah, it's not a facade, it is real.
You never let
And
me finish my point. You never
no,
let me
but
finish my point, Zoe.
don't make. Well, I'm gonna let you finish your point. But
So
if you're gonna lie about Muslims and make it look like the genocidal, I will immediately not let you
yeah,
blag on it for about 10 minutes about something else and let that point slip by. I'm gonna address that point now. You can continue. If you want to make any other points, you can. Or if you want to rebook that point, I can, and then we'll discuss that.
my point that I was making on that topic is that even within this space, when Israel is being bombed, you could hear a lot of cheers in this space. You could say no, but
Can I just
let
add
me.
something here? I want to add
If,
something, and then I'm going to give the mic right back to you, right? So this is I've been thinking about like what Suleiman said and your kind of response in terms of the Arab nations. Now, we're not a monolith on this space, so you've probably heard Suleiman be very critical of the GCC countries, some of their foreign policies, etc. So it's not that this is a Arab versus or Muslim versus Jew space at all. He's highly critical of them, actually. The difference here is, and there's no getting away from this, that you literally have Israeli ministers, government ministers, people in very, very senior positions, right from the prime minister all the way down, calling them Amalek and asking for their annihilation. The horrific statements made by leadership in Israel, not just since the genocide, but for a very long time, is completely abhorrent. They're asking for the killing of children and babies, and they rejoice it, right? You cannot forget the celebrations and people at the border of Gaza preventing aid from getting in, knowing kids were dying.
Yeah, but that was
Now, if you look on the other
his
side of
argument.
it,
Is it's not. He's not even talking. He's talking
so,
about the people.
no, I know what his argument is, but I just want to finish my point. When you look on the other side of it, take any statement made by any of the resistance factions, be it Hezbollah, be it the IRGC, be it Hamas. All of their statements, they talk about living in harmony and coexistence with all other faiths. The largest population of Jewish people in the Middle East actually live in Iran, and they support the Iranian leadership there. They came out in solidarity over there when Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah was killed with the Iranian leadership there. People live in harmony. So what Suleiman's saying is right, that you're not talking on an individual basis. Yes, you will meet individuals everywhere who will dislike people of a certain faith. I freaking nearly wanted to whack a guy today who was actually, funny enough, a Muslim guy because he really got on my nerves, and I'm Muslim myself. So you'll find people, it doesn't matter of the background, who'll annoy you and you'll feel annoyed with them. But on a government level, on a strategy level, on a foreign policy level, it's not right what you're saying. It's not right. But go ahead, Art.
Yeah, and that's not my point. My point is, his position is that the Israeli people don't have this position. I'm saying the Israeli people do. And then his counter is that Muslims have this position. And then so I countered that and demonstrated that he's wrong. And then his counter to that was that actually people on this space cheer when Israel gets hit, which again, I was about to address. Once I finish this, I'll let you and Beatrix have your conversation. That's false as well. So what we cheer, and maybe you need to educate yourself on this and maybe become more informed, is the fact that Iran is striking the state of Israel. And when Iran strikes the state of Israel, they specifically target military complexes and military bases. That's why we haven't got huge casualty counts or even any decent number of casualties from Israel when Iran has been decimating their country. Same with the GCC. We have hardly any casualties even though Iran has been decimating their countries. And so the country you support and you're trying to defend, and the people from whom you're trying to defend, have murdered people in their thousands, or in the case of Palestine, in their hundreds of thousands. So that's the difference. So don't try and make it look like our space promotes the attack on civilians in Israel. It's specifically the state of Israel and the specific military targets that are in Israel.
So unfortunately, it's not at all what I'm saying. So maybe I'll give you a different example. Someone who could be honest. Again, I'm turning 51 this year. So when I was younger, myself with a lot of my white Canadian friends would talk about Muslims as a very bad sector of people, that they're all terrorists. And every movie that we saw over here in the 80s and 90s almost portrayed anyone that was remotely Middle Eastern or could be of Islam as evil. And why did I think like that? Why did my friends think like that? Because we all have our primary sources of information that we were deducing that Muslims were all terrorists? No. We were told that because we were all being fed the narrative through whatever media was available to us at the time. So all I'm saying is that you could extend this type of propaganda to people that live in Iran, the people that live in Israel. And I'm not trying to give everybody a pass, but what I'm saying is that people want to pretend like we actually really have any decision about the information that we're consuming. We want to pretend that we do. We want to pretend that we do these deep analysis and figure out plot holes and government leaks and what the real motive behind these plans are. But I don't think like that. I question everything I know because I believe that they only allow us to know what they want us to know. And so whatever narrative is being run at the time, there's a plan behind it. And all I'm saying is that I do believe that the people in control at the top, that they know no bounds. They see past the Iran, the Israel, the US thing. They don't work within a country. So everyone here has this pride, this national pride, and they want to say, or a lot of people do. I'm not saying everybody, okay? I shouldn't use those generalities, but people want to believe like, oh, it's the people, the US is one, or Iran's one, or Israel's one. No, the citizens almost never benefit from these decisions being made. You think that $300 billion that they're opening up to Iran? Good. I want to see immediate relief to the people that live in Iran. Those people that have been subject to sanctions and poor economic conditions and now a war. I want to see that money flooding to those streets. Show me that they
Art,
actually care about
where
the
was that
people.
energy? Where was that energy for the last 47 years of sanctions on
He cannot
Iran?
do business with the world. That's a good thing.
No, hold on. Where was that energy, Art? For 47 years, Iran's been in sanctions, and now all of a sudden you want to care about the Iranian people?
No, what I'm saying is that everything, all the decisions being made at the top,
Who's at the
is
top,
all
Art?
Satan's at the top. That's who's at the top. See, you can't. Most people can't.
Maybe on your top.
Well, he is. If you believe that Satan is a ruler, someone else has an open mic, but if you believe Satan's a ruler of the world, then yes, that's what my Christian Bible says. That's what Jesus said, and that's what I believe. And it's almost like I come out these spaces and I want to start my narrative by pretending like spirituality isn't involved, and I almost feel like it's almost like fringe or out of the box to talk like this. But almost everyone believes there's a God, but not many people want to believe that there's demonic forces behind this and bigger than the humans involved. So this is what I'm saying. So I can only talk like this because everyone wants to believe that I am a Zionist or whatever. Satan hates all mankind. He doesn't care if you're Christian or Islam.
No, Satan loves people who
he hates people, period.
Satan loves people who support murder. And so in reality, you trying to rationalize evil and trying to basically not make people responsible for their own actions is a major problem. So yeah, the Israelis are responsible for their actions. And your example of you being propagandized when you were young, it makes sense. You were easily influenced. And I do think it's a point of weakness to be so easily propagandized. And obviously, you didn't have the knowledge, the education, or the ability to differentiate truth from falsehood. And it seems like that's not changed. You've just changed your perspective in terms of the Israelis who are supporting mass murder and mass genocide. They are responsible for their own actions. And as if you want to bring it to religious level, I'm not a Christian, but in Islam, we have this idea that each man is responsible for their own actions. You basically, any good deed you do, you are responsible for that action, and any bad deed you do, you are responsible for that action. And so, if you support the murder of someone, you can't be like, oh God, but I watched this Israeli TV channel and they were telling me I should support the murder of these innocent civilians. So if you want to bring spirituality into it, actually spirituality goes against your point, because this makes these people extremely responsible. And obviously, I'm not an expert on Christian theology, so I don't know what their position is. Maybe they believe that you're not responsible for your own actions, but in Islam, we do believe you are responsible for all of your actions, including the wanting of the murder of people. That's the first thing. The second,
When did I say people are not accountable? You put all these words in my mouth, Solomon. You come out with these positions and say that I'm taking a certain position about something, which is totally
well, you talk a lot.
incorrect.
Well, okay, then we could just ignore
I do
what you say,
not.
because you talk a
I do
lot and then
not.
don't say anything. So your
Well,
argument was that these people in Israel, that they are being propagandized, and then you gave me this story about your life and how you were also propagandized, and that's fine. I've never been propagandized myself, so I don't know how that is, but I
never,
suppose you
eh?
were.
You've never
Yeah,
been
I suppose you
propagandized,
were.
eh?
No, I haven't. I was never that weak heart.
You're
I was
Superman when
never
it
as weak
comes
as you. I
to
was never that
propaganda.
weak. I was never that weak heart. It is what
You're
it is. You got to deal with
That's
it.
how
You got to
prideful
deal
you
with
are,
it.
though.
You
I'm
couldn't.
sorry.
The man couldn't control my mind. Man couldn't control my mind. You got to deal with it, bro. But coming back to it, what you
You were never, if you've listened to Suleiman, you were never going to get any other response to that question. Like, you literally went there. Like, seriously.
is the
Like,
first
what did you
true
expect him to say?
first true thing he said that what did he say? I'm a Superman. Yeah, first true thing you said, Arkat, in this entire conversation. I gotta say. But anyway,
Seriously.
so you are
Like,
responsible.
his ego so big, you really wanted to go there, Art, and like make it so difficult for us by calling him Superman. What the hell,
Well,
man?
it's just
Beatrix, quiet,
when you say
quiet,
when
Beatrix. Superman is
when
speaking.
all right,
So
There you
all
go.
right. When you say
Thanks, Art. Thanks for that. Now he's going to use that as an accolade for himself forever. I once, many moons ago, called him the king of Twitter. Oh my God, we never heard the end of it until this day. He's now the king of Twitter. Now he's going to be Superman as well. Thanks, Art. Should we go to, I don't know, she's been waiting a while. She's not spoken yet.
Hi, thank you.
Hey, love.
So I just also just one thing about that last little statement that he made, not to bash on you because I know you don't like when I talk, Mister. But also, where was the energy when Trump decided to go like take out the leader of Venezuela? And he's like, "Oh, we're gonna make a lot of money. We're gonna make a lot of money." And then he goes to go on while we're all paying like ridiculous gas prices, saying, "Oh, we're making a lot of money off. Oh, we're getting rich." We I'm not rich because of it. I haven't seen any of that money, and I also supported and voted for Donald Trump. So anyways, but my point with
I
the
agree with
with
you. I
the
agree with you 100%.
Iranian Iran with the Iranian situation, like I am like I don't want to be fooled again, right? Because they say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 42 times, shame on me, right? Like I don't want to be hopeful about this, but the way that it's sounding like Trump being like anybody who disagrees with this is like you're disavowed, like that's pretty strong. You know what I mean? Like he's willing to go on the witch hunt to cut out anybody. Well, at least that's what it seems. You know what I mean? It seems that way. And so I'm like, dude, this would be so good because from a logical business perspective, not that we got to commoditize, Iran, but it would be good for the world and Iran to all have normalized trade relations. This would alleviate so much of the stuff that they've been going through for so many decades. When was the last time we talked about people doing open trade with Iran? When was the last time they had an opportunity at the open market? When was the last time they could sell their goods through other countries without facing sanctions? That wasn't even a thing. And they've developed so much good stuff in house from being forced to by all of these sanctions that they have their own abilities to produce things that the world needs, that they're like we've been doing this in house for so long, where people like America, we've sold that off to the lowest bidder in some other country for decades. And they've been doing all of this stuff, the scientific research, the industrial, everything themselves. Like this would be such a
Okay.
huge win to actually see this realized. Do I have all the faith like this is Bible? No. I don't want to get my hopes up, but man,
But
I just
to answer your question, yes, I when Venezuela was happening, I said the same thing. It's all theater that they talk about things in generalities like, oh, the US is one, they're taking over, they're going to take over all the oil. And just like you said, look at oil prices, just like this war, they want to
but
make it sound like I agree with you what you're saying.
but
And
I
my
think that the problem with like Americans is specifically is like we have so many skeletons in the closet and then we thumb our finger at other countries and the way they do things.
here's the
Literally.
thing. Here's my
Like
point.
one of the things is I keep seeing these couples that are in a homosexual in nature doing things to children to the point of not being alive anymore, and people want to thumb their nose about other cultures that just don't accept that kind of stuff. Well, maybe they're
Yeah,
trying
they
to
cut the
save their
clips off for
children.
the team.
They're maybe they're trying to protect their children and their society, right? So we sit here and we thumb our fingers at other countries in the way that they do them. Oh, that money better go to the Iranians. Well, let that be their business. I think we've put our nose in everybody else's business for so freaking long. Like maybe if we actually turned inward and you say you're
It's your
spiritual,
money. It's your money.
you say you're spiritual and that you're a Christian, well, then you should know that Jesus didn't want you to thumb your finger at everybody else. Why walk around with a plank in your eye and worry about the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye? Everything that Jesus said was about an inward reflection. And if this country actually took its quote unquote Christian values and turned them and they actually reflected inward, we would be better to the world and we would be that beacon of light. But
Christian.
we have become a dark place. We are not the light on the hill. We are not the America people once looked up to for hope around the world. People look at us and see our failing state and it gives them less hope. Okay? Because of what we have allowed, because we have decided to
Hey, do
put
you
our nose
consider
in
yourself a failure?
everybody's and we let ourselves be in so much entangled in so many things which our founding fathers declared we should not be doing that. It would
Do you
be to
see
the
how you're
detriment of our
talking?
own
Do
citizens. Why?
you keep
Because
on
I
saying
want us to
we?
stop. Well, we collectively Americans, are you an American?
No,
Yeah,
he's not. No, he's
Well,
Canadian. He's
I'm not a
Canadian.
failure. I wouldn't say I'm a failure, and I wouldn't say the world looks at me as a fucking failure. I
well,
guarantee you
okay,
that.
All right, one second. I'm so sorry to mute you. I don't know. All right, Don, I've just brought you up. Don't swear on our space and don't interrupt. I don't know. She's actually spitting fire and I want to hear what she's got to say. If you've got an opinion, you can speak, put your hand up, and I'll come to you right after. I don't know. Do continue, please.
Well, as soon as dinner's done, I want to speak to Doc because he knows something. Or if not, Doc, we can go on. I can get you on the YouTube show because I do want to ask you about some of the bits about the clause. But go ahead, Donna, finish your point, and then I've got a question for Doc.
It might be a double mute. I don't know. Let's check.
sorry, you should.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I don't know. Try again.
Sorry, he should take the words that he so much cherishes and apply them inwardly. If each one of us did that individually, then we wouldn't be such, Western societies wouldn't be so narcissistic to think that you can you could force another country to do what you want, that your will be done over there. We're not God. We're not God, okay? We don't have that ability in every kingdom that has risen up and became too proudful, too boast, did these things, fell. And we're at a pivotal moment. And as an American, I'm like, dude, should I flee the country? I mean, I don't want to be a coward, but my gosh, what if the hammer of justice swings the other way and we're like doomed over here? Because eventually you reap what you sow. And I have children that have to grow up in this country. And right now I have adult children that are like, why would I want to bring a child into this world that does X, Y, and Z? And my children don't even want to bring children into the country that they're in because they think it's so disgusting. Not because they're atheists, not because they don't, and also they can't afford it. It's become a burden. And we're doing all this while we're worrying about what Iran is doing. Why the heck do we care? Did they don't invade other countries? When you say, "Oh, Iran has killed so many Americans," name one. Oh, well, the Beirut, and then you go and find out Beirut, that had nothing to do with Iran. That had to do with people protecting their sovereignty in their land from people that were coming and killing them and stealing their land. that they have fought, bled, and died for centuries. So no, everything that has been said is an absolute lie, and that's why I so enjoy these spaces where you just get to learn so much. It's a plethora. Like I long to be on these spaces all day to see what more information I can find because it's so fascinating. And then when I have actual conversations with other people and they spit these same lines out at me, I can be like, oh, no, da 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 da. Why? Because Suleiman came in and schooled so many people, took them back to kindergarten, preschool days, okay, and schooled them from the ground up in the most professional, profound way you can. Not to insult, not to smack down, but to say actually what you're saying is just a repeated false propaganda statement. Here's why. Let me go back, and he gives you the time, the date, the this, the that, and he does it in such a way that it leaves people with their heads scratching because they literally don't know why they actually believe that. But if you repeat a lie enough, people will believe it. And it's true. And it's so true. And people want to talk about, oh, Russia propaganda, this and this and that. America is the worst. I have never, and now that I see it as an American, I'm like, I don't hate my country at all. I don't hate my country. I don't hate my countrymen. But my government is so bad. And if this deal was even half as good as it sounds right now on paper, to see Iran be able to actually rise up, to see Christians should want, and anybody who believes in God would want the world to do good, would want to see every nation succeed, would want to see everybody stop killing
Are you
each
a
other.
Christian? Are you a Christian?
Absolutely. But that's not the
Well,
point. The point is anybody who believes in God, because I know it is true in Islam too. Okay? Suleiman, he's Muslim. He talks the same way I do. We have the same principles and values in life, and it doesn't matter.
said
He
you
wants the
said you
same
said
thing
you
for
Okay,
this
said
world that I
God.
do.
we're not gonna go like 1 second. I just wanna thanks that I don't know, great points. I don't want it to be sullied with whatever
Yeah, yeah,
propaganda
yeah.
he's gonna do. So great points. I just need to ask Doc something, you see, that's why. So I'm not trying to be rude, it's just Doc's got like really good knowledge on the constitution and how processes work in Congress. Doc, we were discussing this, about the sanctions. And by the way, you can jump on YouTube at some point as well and talk about this. But in terms of the
Mhm.
sanctions relief, so obviously there's certain sanctions Trump can remove, like he has on the oil sanctions. And apparently
Mhm.
there's some sanctions that he can only get through Congress. Is there a way he could bypass Congress, or is it through Congress only he'll be able to remove those primary and secondary sanctions?
Well, as a practical matter, for the same reason Trump could perpetuate an illegal war against Iran, where the Constitution requires that no wars proceed without the approval of Congress. And of course, that's been ignored ever since World War II. The president can ignore a statute in a law that prescribes sanctions and sanctions relief in a certain way, because the president and the executive branch has control of the agencies that would be involved, the military, the legal, the Justice Department, all of them, all report to the president and not to Congress. So in the context of this question, think also about the fact that Ron Levin, other Zionists, after hearing about the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, which really to guarantee its continuation beyond the current administration, should be a treaty. And treaties would require at least Senate action to approve, but also it'd be much harder for a president to sidestep a treaty level agreement than it is a particular statute, or that it was with the what was called the AUMF, the Authorization to Use Military Force, which Congress, ignoring their duty to declare war, all agreed with, who was it? I guess it was George Bush who started Gulf War I and got the MOU agreed to, which carried with it Congress's approval and support for budgets that allocated the funds necessary for U.S. to pursue their war in the Middle East. And it's also limiting factor, uh, because the war continued at least for 60 days without a declaration of war under existing law, based on the National Defense Authorization. So they give them 60 days. In 60 days, you either got to quit or funding gets cut off. Trump, gave basically lip service to that. Uh, Announced, the day of, I think it was May 1, oh, the war's over. But they continued the bombing and so on and so forth, and they made excuses, but we have a government, a Congress, who's completely controlled by the Zionists. So the reason I mentioned him, Ron Levin and other Zionists, when Trump announced this MOU, in the succeeding statements he's made over the last few days, which are, the first we've seen that are overtly critical of Israel and Bibi Netanyahu, and particularly their continued attacks on Iran and most specifically Gaza and Lebanon, that that Trump has threatened to to cut off all funds. So it's a difficult question, but basically the president, in effect, because he has control of the military, the Justice Department, he can ignore Congress. And a lot of times Congress ignores the president. They're co-equal branches of government, and ultimately to resolve the dispute between Congress and those supporters those congressmen and senators, men and women, who would hypothetically support more war with Iran, authorize more money to Israel, so on and so forth. That the Zionists are now ignoring Trump, his executive power, which they've relied upon for years to get the money and support for the war that they've had. Now that Trump is demanding peace, and starting to send signals that he's going to hold Bibi accountable up to and including withdrawal all funding support to Israel. And that is what needs to be done to stop them, in my opinion. They keep getting money, they're going to keep these attacks. And it's, as it has the last 30 days, it's going to continue to subvert what other MOU is finally agreed to and whether or not that gets to a treaty and what the treaty terms are. So the president can do whatever he wants. There is no constraints effectively on his power to ignore sanctions relief, even if there's a statute, and I would have to reread the statutes to know exactly what what ability and leverage Congress and Senate can bring on the president to change his foreign policy, because this is what we're talking about. Is the other power that the executive branch has, is they control foreign policy and they control the military. So whether the sanctions are relieved or not, whether they're restricted or not, effectively it doesn't matter, because for Congress to exercise its power in conflict with the executive branch, ultimately the third branch of government would have to be the decider, and that would have to go through the Justice Department, through the court system, and that could take years. So what the Zionists want is a continuing of the funding. They don't want Bibi held accountable for breaching the current peace agreement, I'll call it that, that's preventing further attacks by Iran on the Gulf states and on Israel. And at the same time, there needs to be some additional restraints placed on Bibi and Israel, and our Congress won't do that. I'm frankly shocked that Trump has gotten to this point where he's sending out the narrative in support of America first, in support of peace, in recognition that we started the war, that it's an illegal war, that it's in support of genocide in Gaza, it's in support of the attacks in Iran and Syria, and it was what drove the attacks originally against Iran. I still think Trump is compromised and blackmailed by the Epstein files. And I think it was Bibi recently came out and said, or some Israeli official, and I'll end here, that there's more Epstein file information to release, and it's going to affect the lives of politicians and others. So I think that they've always had the material on Trump. And in effect, what they're doing is threatening now Trump at a new public level.
to leverage him to back away from this deal with Iran or delay the process and the deal so that it can be approved and reviewed by the Senate and the House. That to get to a treaty, treaties take years, if ever. And they're really the only ones, the only legal structure within our country that can constrain the effective power of the president. Keep in mind that our Constitution was written at a time and gave the president those powers necessary to continue war without Congress or the Senate approving it. Because you used to travel to Washington, D.C. from the States by horse-drawn carriage or steamship. So the president has enough ability to basically tell them to go F themselves. And then Congress is left with, well, how do we enforce our will? Well, the only way they can do that is through the courts or through public opinion. And that's going to continue because public opinion is controlled and funded by the Zionists, our media, and heretofore politicians with immense amount of power like Craig Heseth, is that his first name? Hexus, the Secretary of War, Marco Rubio, and now Mark Radcliffe, who's the head, I think, of the CIA. There's been reports that Trump is considering firing those who opposed or those who promoted the Iran war. Basically, Hexeth and Rubio and Radcliffe, those that Trump has identified or through media contacts has leaked this rumor. So what we're having now in America, and the broader question really addresses the much 50,000 level foot topic, which is how much control does Israel have over us and our government? How much does it have over Trump? And I think we're seeing some strong pushback from Trump and his administration, which is not surprising to me because if he continues to support the Zionists, our global economy is going to go straight in the toilet, even more so than it has. So thanks for the question. Hope that's helpful.
Very helpful as always, Doc. Very helpful as always. Beatrix, back to you. Was there anything you wanna? Do you want to take over for a few minutes? I need to. I forgot to get these. I forgot to schedule these YouTube streams. I'm trying to do it as quick as possible before the interview starts, and I haven't got ready yet.
Oh my God, and our cat's called you Superman, and look at you, you're flopping already.
I'm literally doing it.
Seriously?
I'm multitasking. I'm literally having a conversation with Doc while I'm doing this, but now I need to put my clothes on as
And
well.
I called you Superman. Right, let's go to. Okay, too much information. I just want to ask. I'm going to go to Don, and then I'm going to come to you, Hassan. But Hassan, can I just ask you, please, don't put anything in the nest above where you can see Suleiman and myself and Moral Resistance, because that's just for Suleiman's posts. And guys, everyone follow the Moral Resistance channel, which is co-hosting with Suleiman. We will be doing spaces from there soon. We founded that movement for a reason. But let's go to Don, who has now waited patiently. Go ahead, Don. Thanks for waiting.
So what Doc said about strong pushback, does anyone agree that Trump has a strong pushback towards Israel? I mean, even the slightest criticism, we as American citizens and others consider it to be a strong pushback. Doc, you said that Trump had a strong pushback towards
No,
Israel.
you're
And
completely
all the people, no, you
mischaracterizing.
said
You're
that. It's
completely
recorded.
mischaracterizing my
No, it's
intents. If you're
recorded,
gonna come,
bro.
if you're gonna come out
Doc, it's
here,
recorded,
Don,
man.
and attack me and mischaracterize me, I'm gonna
It's
respond to you
recorded, dude.
personally. Don't call
You
me
know it's
dude, all right?
recorded,
You don't
right? This
have.
is a recorded
We are
space,
not
Doc.
bros. I don't know who you are. The reason I was asked the question is I've been in this space for years, okay, and I know what I'm talking about. I am not characterizing Trump's reaction as a strong pushback. I characterize his reaction as the first pushback from the president to what's been support for genocide and pedophilia being blackmailed. What I'm saying is he has made statements. Maybe you should get off the space and go look at what's published to understand that Trump is now being openly critical of Bibi, the continuing attacks on Lebanon. I'm not defending Trump. And no idiot in this room who knows anything about me or has listened to my last statement would think that.
Yeah, I heard you say he had a strong
Are we losing
pushback,
Doc, or
and
is it
I,
just
I
me?
don't agree with that, and I don't think anyone here would agree with that. I figured that would be a
Did I
paradigm
lose
shift,
connection?
a strong pushback. You said
You
that
keep
verbatim.
repeating
I'm
a
not
quote
taking
that
you
I
out of
didn't make.
context.
You
I
just
can
heard me
push the
deny
clip in
it
the
and
fucking
clarify.
pill,
You just heard
dog.
me deny it and clarify my statement. I don't know why you're engaging in a personal attack, but go ahead and share the rest of your information and your questions, not addressing me in this space.
Okay, he's gone, but I was going to say to him for the second time not to swear on our space because we are live on YouTube. So he skipped a doc. And I was going to say to him not to address you, and you'd clarified your point. I didn't even know what he was asking.
Also, that was so lame. So he only came
Yeah.
up here to be like, "Oh, actually, you said that word, and if you look at it, it's not exactly like so lame." I actually thought he's gonna come and say something decent, but very
Yeah,
well.
I don't think he actually listened to what Doc said, honestly. He didn't listen to the whole thing. I think he jumped on one thing, Sully.
I don't think he listened to I don't know what she said either, and he came up to have a
That's
little chomp at
right.
her.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was the guy who was questioning, I don't know's faith and was trying to infer that she made decisions based on her, are you a Christian? I heard that comment. You know what? F that guy. Jesus
Yeah, I don't know what
Christ.
his point was, to be honest, because I
Yeah.
said to him, "Don't interrupt, and I'll come to you." So yeah, I have no idea what he was talking about, Doc. But if he requests again, we'll come up. I don't know what we were going to say. Jump in, love, and then we go to Hassan.
I said, yeah, that's why I just didn't answer him. I don't have to answer people who want to question my faith like they don't deserve an answer.
Yeah, I don't know what point he was trying to make, and I
As
actually
if
thought,
God is playing any role in any of this. For someone to say God is on our side in this war, when if you're a Christian or you're a Catholic, I don't know who he was or who he's purporting to be. They believe that we're all created in God's image. We're all God's people. There's no God, right, that should support the genocide of some other of God's people. I don't care what religion they are. Every religion, we're all God's chosen. If you're a Christian or you're a Catholic, and I think that's also the case if you're a
Wait,
Jew or you're
Doc,
Muslim.
Doc. You just said we're all God's chosen. Like, I think God doesn't choose some people. Like, I don't think Beatrix is chosen.
I'm the special one. I'm literally the special one, God's special one. So yeah, I'm not just random chosen.
She's entitled to your bunker. That's right. God has
She was
given her your
promised that
bunker.
3,000 years ago, okay?
You tell him, Dano, tell him.
Matrix, can I give a quick shout out, real quick, if you don't mind? Andrew,
Yeah.
Sully, I just want to shout you guys out for finding the Moral Resistance page. Good on you
Right, I'm
guys.
dropping him now. Literally, do you
Good
know
on
what?
you
I thought I bet he's
guys
gonna have
for
a go at
finding
me.
that.
And he's having a go at me. I founded it. You know I founded it. And shall I tell you
I
something
just
really
see,
funny about
just,
Brother
just,
Hussein here, right?
just
One of the
quickly.
first times I wrote to him, one of the first times, because I've known him forever, one of the first times I had an argument, he came back to me with, because I misspelled his name, instead of an E-I-N, I put A-I-N. And he came back to me and he was like, if you're going to write to me, at least spell my name properly. It's not with an A, it's with an E. And I remember since then, I tell you, every time I write to him, I think, freaking get his name right. You're going to smash me again for getting his name wrong. He's so funny.
W, good smash. I see Avi on the listeners. Avi, but the only thing is, we only got a few minutes. I did want him to come up because I know he had a kind of different point and a different perspective, and I did ask him to come on the space, but it's a bit. I don't know if it's a bit late now, but if he wants to jump on for a couple of minutes, that would be golden. But if not, all good too. In the
I
meantime,
think he's at work usually at this time, but
is he
yeah, if he
all right?
can.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know his schedule. Okay.
No, because normally if I message him or send him the link, sometimes when he comes up, he'll say, "Oh, sorry, I was at work and I'm listening and stuff." That's why he only comes up every now and again.
Oh, cool. Because I
I
did want
care
him to
about the
discuss
peeps, you see.
I mean, probably. I did want him to speak because he was. We had a bit. Yeah, he just said he's at work. What I was gonna say was, yeah, because I wanted to have that discussion, but all good. We can have it probably tomorrow as well. Flip wise. Okay, so cool. Let's go to Good Day. Good Day. Go ahead.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Appreciate your spaces. They've been awesome for years now. I just wanted to touch base on the Trump thing with Bibi. I have noticed that his complaints on Bibi has gotten louder and in the news. And I was looking at previous accounts where presidents have voiced publicly, whether in person or through a leak, opposition to Israel. And I have found in history the last person to actually do it on paper was JFK. Feel free to correct me if anyone else knows anything different, but to publicly say whatever policy Israel's currently, whatever mindset they currently have and their ambitions goes against Americans and their.
Jimmy Carter did it after he was president. Actually, went to Palestine, wrote a book in defense of the Palestinians. But I jump in there because I want to acknowledge Jimmy Carter, the Democrat who I didn't vote for, did that. So
Absolutely. Thanks, Doc. Appreciate that. I did not see that one. But the big picture, just really quick to tie that together, is what happens when the president, current president, turns against Israel? Where has that gone? And what repercussions come from that? So if the president decides, okay, I'm going to let the blackmail out and I'm going to burn it all down, what happens with Israel then? What do they decide to do? And I'll land it there.
Yeah, to be honest, I was a little scared when Trump started pushing back. Not scared, but I mean, I just don't want to see another casualty, right? Like, no matter how evil, corrupt, whatever he is, he's still got little grandkids and stuff that would have to see, if something bad happens to him. And I'm like, oops, JFK, man. I don't know, Trump, you're in dangerous waters. Is he really growing the cojones to say, you know what? I'm just going to have to take one for the team? I don't know. I don't think he has that, but still, that'd be interesting.
Well, we also have to remember when Trump lost the 2016. Remember, he went the FU Bibi when Bibi immediately backed up Biden. Remember that one, Doc and panel?
what was that again, Andrew? What?
Yeah, you remember when Trump, the election, the 2020. I mean, the 2020. I'm sorry, 2020 election when
Yeah.
Trump went FU Bibi when Bibi backed up Biden after the election.
Yeah, but I think that was all sort of a sham to show that Trump wasn't a Zionist, a part of the plan. I don't believe, unless you accept, which I do, that Trump was been blackmailed by the Epstein files. That resulted in his 1,000% switch from the America First, no new wars, do what's best for Americans and get out of the world wars. Of course, he was a vocal opponent of the Iraq War, but maybe that was all staged to put him in the position of power, or he actually would cooperate with the Zionists to attack Israel's enemies. I don't want to give him credit for being an anti-Zionist back then. I think part of it's been a show.
Prashant, you had your hand up. Is it still up? Because I can't see it. But I remember it being
Yeah,
up a lot.
it went down. It went down, but I did want to weigh in. I really listened carefully to what Doc said, and I respect his knowledge and study on the subjects, legal points and other points that he made. But the point that I want to make is I don't think you can still trust anything Trump says. I think Trump's in survival mode because he knows how much trouble he is in, and I don't think you can trust anything he says, period. End of story. The only time I'd believe I could trust Trump is if he ordered the U.S. military to go over and arrest Bibi and send him to the ICC. That's the only time I would trust Trump. And even then, as far as I'm concerned, if we're living in quotes, moral resistance world, Trump should spend the rest of his life in prison. Let his kids come visit him there, and he can say, kids, I'm sorry I can't come to your house, but I was a really, really horrible man, and I deserve to spend the rest of my life in prison. Then I would still also believe Trump. And so that's my points on that issue. And then I want to go back, if allowed, to that point about why isn't Iran doing some of the things that some of the people in this space want them to do right now. When I think about it, first of all, I'll say I wish Iran would have put an end to the state of Israel a long time ago. That's my wish. But I've changed in the way that I think about that. And I think that Iran not attacking right now, even though Israel is killing more people, could potentially be a wise move. Let's get the agreement signed before Iran goes after and punishes Israel for what they do. And maybe I think that's the way Iran is thinking. Because when you say, well, people are being killed, they're going to be killed even after the agreement is signed. Israel's not going to stop, and the U.S. isn't going to stop supporting them because there's nobody making U.S. or Israel responsible for any of these evil actions in any real way. So they're going to continue doing it no matter what, even if there is an agreement, in my view. So I just think Iran can potentially gain some points in public opinion, which is somewhat important, by not acting until after the agreement. And it is my hope that after the agreement is signed and Israel keeps violating, that they come down heavier on Israel than they ever have. That's my view. Thanks for letting me share it.
Yeah, Prashant, just sounds like, okay, so between now and the agreement signing, let's just play roulette with people's lives. And then once the agreement's signed, Iran's got the trade it wants, and then they can maybe take action. So crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not the point I was making at all.
No, I know,
one
but
second, one
well,
second.
however you spin it, when you say
Okay,
that,
I
they
don't think
can.
you can hear me because every time I speak, I say 1 second. So 1 second, I'm gonna give it back to you. Just quickly, guys, if you're on the second YouTube channel, I am gonna be moving across to the Moral Resistance channel. And quickly, I just want to thank these people. Latrina with a super chat saying, "How do you explain martyrdom to people who don't even know their neighbors?" They are lying, saying, "Love the channel, guys, warriors, all of you. Thank you so much." Suleiman 1, Zionist 0, and who fed that narrative, Zionist. And then Dizzy with the 5 gifted memberships as well. Thank you so much for your support of the channel. Sorry, Beatrix, go ahead. You
Yeah, I
make a
couldn't
point.
hear you when you were saying 1 second. I couldn't hear anything actually, but yeah, no problem. Yeah, I mean, public opinion, whatever. Like, people are being killed. But anyway, let's go to Hassan really quickly, Hassan, please, and then because I do want to hear from Adeno before we close. I think we've only got a few minutes. Go ahead, Hassan.
Yeah, and just to let you know, on the channel, we are ending it, so come across. I'm going to be ending it now, and then we'll be starting with one. God, sorry, back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. So I go fast. Really. First of all, right now I received this news that Israeli artillery attack on southern Lebanon, and Lebanese sources reported heavy artillery shelling of the town of Kafr happening in southern Lebanon by Israel army. And Abbas Araghchi from Iran had stated that according to the agreement, Israel must not only cease military operations but also withdraw from Lebanese territory, and it's a kind of violation to the MOU. And I like to hear opinions. By the way, Prashant mentioned something, but I see this is a kind of violation to the MOU.